Please sit.
Good afternoon, everyone. Members of the media gathered here at the Lloyd Erskine Sandiford Center, our guests, it is my pleasure on behalf of the government and people of Barbados to welcome His Excellency, Mr. Paul Kagame, sorry, names sometimes give us a trouble. Mr. Paul Kagame, to Barbados and to this event. As you are aware, for the last hour and a bit, we have been involved in bilateral discussions between the two sides, and now Prime Minister and the President will address you. First, however, please let me point out that there is a microphone in the middle, and we would want the members of the media who are asking questions to do so, and first identify yourself. First, we will ask His Excellency to give his opening statement, followed by the Prime Minister, and then we should have questions. Thank you. Your Excellency.
Honorable Mia Motley, Prime Minister of Barbados, members of the media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Madam Prime Minister, allow me to begin by thanking you for the opportunity to visit this beautiful country. My delegation and myself feel right at home, and we are truly grateful for your warm welcome and hospitality. I have had rich discussions today with both the President and the Prime Minister. Barbados and Rwanda are separated by a great distance, but we have some common challenges and a lot of experiences to share with each other. In that sense, we feel very close. We are going to be finding concrete ways to deepen the cooperation between our two countries going forward. We're also looking forward to welcoming the Prime Minister to Rwanda for the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting in June. Through your leadership, Prime Minister, Barbados has been making a mark in global affairs. Your memorable interventions at COP26 and at the last United Nations General Assembly put a spotlight on the inequalities in the global system that we must work together to address. As the co-chair of the United Nations Broadband Commission for Sustainable Development, I was very pleased to welcome the Prime Minister as a new commissioner last year. I also wish to congratulate the government and people of Barbados for successfully navigating the country's transition to a republic. Let's build on the recent CARICOM Africa Summit, which took place in September last year, to continue aligning our priorities and spur more direct cooperation between the Caribbean and Africa. Once again, Prime Minister, we are very happy to be here and look forward to continuing close collaboration in the years ahead. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, President Kagame, members of the Rwandan delegation, members of the Barbadian delegation, members of the media. Let me say how truly honored we are, President Kagame, to welcome you here to Barbados. Your leadership and the example of your country over the course of the last 2 decades in respect of what you have been able to do to turn your country around after the gravest of challenges has inspired us in this 21st century to the reality of what the development opportunities are that can be attained by a country once it is focused and strategic in its planning and execution of its development program. I want at the outset to wish your country the very, very best and your people on the occasion of the upcoming 60th anniversary of independence. That journey, as we all know, has not been in a straight line, but we do believe that your leadership has allowed Rwanda to become a shining star globally with respect to what is possible in the development area. It is by no accident that you co-chair the Broadband Commission for Sustainable Development, because you have shown the purpose and use of science and technology in development in a very real and tangible way. This morning we discussed at length a number of issues, but one of the things that stood out was your ability to use robots during the pandemic at a time when the world really did not know where this pandemic was taking us, and at a time when distance mattered most in terms of creating safety for the movement and travel of people. Your leadership as well with respect to the establishment of a manufacturing entity for vaccines in Africa is very, very appropriate, largely as a result of the absence of vaccine equity globally. And we believe that the efforts of yourself and Ghana in terms of being able to bring greater capacity as well as greater distribution of actual product to the continent of Africa is one that we wish you all the very best in. And given our discussions this morning, we hope that we can collaborate with you as we've agreed on these areas of biotechnology and science and technology generally, and ICT. Barbados, as I explained to you this morning, for example, we have produced 6,000 graduates in the area of science from the Cave Hill campus of the University of the West Indies here in the last 5 years. And while there is absolute nobility in teaching, we recognize that that is not the only purpose that people would want to use a science degree. And therefore we have a solemn obligation to being able to build a platform for biotechnology and ICT and science and technology generally. Against that backdrop, we've agreed this morning in the signing of the cooperation agreement to a number of things. Our two countries had a double taxation agreement that was signed some years ago. With the ratification, I'm told now is now in place. We will start the discussions towards the bilateral investment treaty as well as towards a multilateral air services agreement. I think all of us agree, and we're coming closer, I hope, to its resolution, that there must be air connectivity between the continent of Africa and the Caribbean region. As I said at the CARICOM AU Summit last September, it is time for us to remove the middle passage, the middle leg, and the middleman if we are going to bring true development and opportunity to our people. The continent of Africa has the hugest demographic dividend going forward in this century, with the majority of your population under the age of 30. The numbers there are staggering, and to that extent, therefore, the opportunities that will be required if they are to prosper must be found not only on the continent of Africa but globally. To that extent, the CARICOM region, as the sixth region within the African Union, will continue to play its role, and visits such as this, as well as our upcoming visit to the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, which you are chairing, will allow us to be able to deepen the cooperation such that it is not only at the level of heads of government or ministers, but it is ordinary people who come literally to want to go and want to trade and want to do business. Against that backdrop, I was extremely pleased to be able to introduce you just now to some of our most outstanding citizens. I said to you that your love of cricket can allow us to make you an honorary citizen of Barbados, because I think that it is on this little rock that you will find the greatest passion for that game globally. And we were able, therefore, to introduce you to some of those citizens from Sagari, Right Excellent Cigarfield Sobers, Sir Wesley Hall, Big Bird, as you would commonly know him, but Joel Garner, Sir Cuthbert, Gordon Greenwich, and Ian Bradshaw, and the president of the Barbados Cricket Association. And why? Because we believe that cricket is an export that we must help lead globally. And I've said so recently to my own people, and we look forward, therefore, to being able to work in Africa with you with respect to not just cricket, but we've also talked about the importance of us being able to work with you on road tennis. And later this afternoon, you'll actually get to see a game in my constituency, ironically, of road tennis. The areas of horticulture and agriculture are areas we believe for opportunities for tremendous investment, and we look forward recognizing that Rwanda has made itself and given itself a global reputation in the area of horticulture and generally in agriculture, where it is a large part of your GDP. With respect to financial services and investment, we believe that we can share. Barbados has been that place where, for example, Canadian companies have more than most other jurisdictions. We are the number 2 or number 3, depending on what year you look at it, jurisdiction for Canadian companies to invest globally, using Barbados as a domicile. And it's not just because of the taxes, we believe, but it is also because of the rule of law issues and then the other quality of life issues that go that we have to offer. We are aware that Rwanda is engaging in a similar path with respect to financial services in Africa, and therefore we believe that for both jurisdictions, the opportunity to cooperate at the level of regulators as well as the level in joint promotion, because we're looking at different markets, that there are opportunities there as well that we hope to work with you as we discussed. With respect to our common fight against the climate crisis, our countries fall regrettably in that frontline area between the tropics of Cancer and Capricorn that are now on the front line of this awful climate crisis. The issue of financing becomes absolutely pivotal for us, given the fact that the timeline towards 1.5 degrees is literally within the next 12 to 15 years, closer to 12, we believe. That does not leave us a lot of time to either mitigate or to adapt, because as you know from your own career, a decade goes in a flash. And therefore, our ability to be able to prepare our countries and our citizens for the worst ravages of the climate crisis is literally upon us now, and the urgency is now. To that extent, we have found solidarity globally in being able to carry the message to the G20 countries, who are responsible, ironically, for 80% of the greenhouse gases, and whose stock of contribution is what has really been the biggest contributor, as opposed to the flow that exists today. Finally, sir, the ability for us to work as well in the reform of the international financial institutions that make the rules to determine what we can and cannot do in terms of fiscal space and policy space is even more than ever critical. Your country, as we discussed this morning, is also facing the ravages of inflation in food and fuel. In fact, perhaps even more so than us, because you are on the front line with respect to the importation of wheat from the Ukraine, and with respect to other issues, particularly fertilizers, which then affect your agricultural output in terms of the costs that you now have to carry with the sourcing of new markets. What it does do, however, is to raise for us the opportunities to be more self-sufficient and resilient. And I think that we are learning these messages very quickly, and we agree that each of us brings to the table different advantages. CARICOM has one set of advantages, Africa has another set. The one thing we must do is to have that direct engagement without that middleman, without that middle leg, without that middle passage. So I thank you for your visit here, and I thank you for your leadership in respect of so many issues globally that show what is possible when a country can line up united behind a development path, behind leadership that allows it to be able to say, we too can be the best, we too can aspire to be the greatest. And that example that your country has set, coming from the ravages that it experienced, is one that the entire world the entire global community would do well to follow, because it is real and it has seen success. And we thank you for that. I don't know if there are any questions that persons, as I said this morning, we signed an agreement of cooperation between the Minister of Finance from Rwanda and the Senior Minister of Foreign Affairs from Barbados.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Thank you, Your Excellency. Are there any questions from the media? Barry? Or you're deferring? Go right ahead.
Please. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, Mr. President, Madam Prime Minister. Forgive my voice. Madam Prime Minister, you would have mentioned robotics and information technology early. Are you expecting that we can actually hit the ground running in the short term in terms of forging that partnership and seeing some information and sharing of a wealth of talent that both countries may have?
I think that this morning we realized that there's a lot more to share and a lot more to do in that area of science and technology, and in particular biotech and ICT. I've agreed that Minister Ishmael, Davidson Ishmael, who's Minister of Industry, Science and Technology, will travel to Rwanda probably with the CEO of Export Barbados for us to see how we can tangibly and concretely put in place opportunities for investment and cooperation. Our first interest, of course, is in seeing what potential there is with the vaccine manufacturing entity that Rwanda is establishing, recognizing that the vaccine for COVID is just but one small commodity of what that manufacturing capacity can be for. I reminded His Excellency this morning that I'm also working, as you know, as the chair of the One Health Global Initiative with the antimicrobial resistance. And one of the things that the world is going to need to be able to find is new antibiotics that can fight off the superviruses. So to that extent, building capacity as early as now must be part of our future, because we expect future pandemics in this century, regrettably, and we have to be ready, knowing full well that no one is going to put us at the top of their list first unless we do it ourselves. So we want Minister Ishmael and the CEO of Export Barbados to go to have those conversations. In addition to that, Rwanda has a number, and His Excellency can speak to it, universities in science and technology, and they have been cutting edge in Africa, but also beyond Africa, globally, I would like to suggest, on a number of these areas that they've worked on. We talked also about the possibility of sharing regulators, and I say why this is important. Rwanda is that country in Africa that has made doing business much easier than most. I think they're number 2 in Africa and number 38 in the world. And as you know, this has been a bugbear for us in Barbados, and we feel that the actual trading of personnel will help us to be able to learn from each other in meaningful ways, particularly in the area of financial services and that sector where we have 40 years of experience, but where they have the experience in untangling the bureaucracy and making it easier for people to do business. We feel our officials can learn from them as well.
Good afternoon to all. I'm Wendy Burke from the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation, and this question goes to His Excellency. The Prime Minister spoke about the need to cut the middle out and to have us be able to visit Africa. How strongly do you feel about your people being able to visit not just Barbados, but the rest of the Caribbean and having that interconnectivity in air travel?
Well, I just confirm that there is a huge interest in the people of my country, our region, the continent, connecting not only with Barbados, but the whole of the Caribbean. And you just check on social media, I know you must be following that. You will see a lot of comments about my visit here. And before coming here, I passed through Jamaica. And the comments there from not only my country, but from the continent, speak to that. It's like it is too, already we are too late in a sense to do that. So, but it's never too late to connect and make friends and partnerships, and so we definitely want to do that. And these are some of the Prime Minister has spoken to that, what needs to be done. If we connect directly, if there is a transportation serving both the continent and the Caribbean and the Barbados in particular, and the visa waivers, and so that, you know, we make it easy for people to travel and do business and visit. This will be huge. It has a huge potential, and that's what we are working to achieve and make this a reality. So there's no doubt about what you have just raised.
Do we have any other questions?
If done, I just want to thank everyone, and Your Excellency, I really want to thank you for doing us the honor of visiting our nation. You are the first president of Rwanda to do so. Our two countries, I believe, can be and play that role not only within our regions, you in Africa, we in CARICOM, but collectively together, as I said, on the big issues that face our world now. Our voices tend to coincide and come from the same point of principle more often than not. And therefore that collaboration and solidarity, I believe, will allow us to be able to see far more progress than if we try to do it on our own. We are always stronger together. The last point that I'd make, which I didn't address earlier, was that we recognize also the opportunity for significant investment from not just individual investors or companies, but given that many of our pension funds and our social security funds have to diversify their investment in order to be able to withstand the difficulties in this world that come from both the pandemic or war, we believe that that ability to get to know each other and to share information and opportunities will allow for a broader investment pool on both sides of the Atlantic than hitherto existed. So we look forward to those real opportunities too. So thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much.
And we look forward to letting you see a little more of Barbados before you leave.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.